Are you practicing diligently? You're doing all your open strings and you think you have finally achieved a really nice relaxed bow and a nice heavy arm, but for some reason or another the cello is still not singing. It's still sounding really choked and croaky. Well, if that is the case, your left hand might have something to do with that. So that's what we're going to be taking apart in today's video, as usual, in a great amount of detail. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Julia Morneweg, and on my channel I try my best to break the art of cello playing down into bite-sized little chunks. Just a quick reminder that if you would like to find out more either about my concerts or how to have lessons with me or partake in my live online workshops, you can head over to my website www.juliamorneweg.com. And finally, if you would like to be one of the people who help me to keep this channel alive and kicking, you can now do so by leaving me a little tip via the coffee link below, which is hugely appreciated. Let's go and sort your sound out. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm practicing, the one thing that's incredibly important for me in order to stay motivated is that I have to enjoy my own sound. If there is something a little bit meh in the sound, that is the biggest motivation killer as far as practice is concerned for me. So that is one of the many reasons why when I start teaching a young, or perhaps not so young, cellist from scratch, we spend a phenomenal amount of time, first of all, getting a really good, relaxed right arm, really good sound production. And you will have seen on my channel there are God knows how many videos on exactly that topic. So let's say you have done all of that, and for some reason when you're playing you are still getting this sort of choked, quite sort of choked sound that's lacking vibrancy and that's lacking color, and that is of course the hallmark of well, let's call the learner cellists. So we're going to today take apart exactly why that happens, and of course, as usual, what you can do about it to turn the slightly meh sound into a nice vibrant sound. So first up, we need to understand one fundamental concept about string instruments, and that is that everything is based on the concept of elasticity, right? So you have got, starting with a bow, you have got a flexible elastic bow stick, you have got hair that's flexible. The strings on our instrument are flexible. Why? Because, well, sound is vibration. In order for vibration to take place, everything has got to be elastic. And that is now where we are coming to the crux of the matter, because not only do our tools have to maintain that elasticity, but our body as well. Both our arms, both of our hands have got to be free from tension. So everything we do is always based on utilizing natural weight. It's never ever based on applying pressure. And applying pressure is the very fault that we are going to dissect in the left hand, because that is the bit that's giving you this sort of nasal choked sound. Now, why at the beginning does everyone have the tendency to apply pressure? Because of course initially you haven't quite developed the necessary muscles yet to keep this shape, to keep this hand shape from collapsing. And so it's very much, it's a sort of fear of loss of control, right? I always say, like with the right hand, for the same reason that when you watch someone learning to drive, they're holding on to the steering wheel for dear life, because it's a fear of loss of control. So we have to learn right from the outset that actually less pressure equals more control. So now let's in turn look at some strategies that will help us get there. So first of all, I really want us to lean into this concept of elasticity. And you may already have seen in several other videos me recommending these squishy hand exercise balls. They're very easy to find on Amazon or other similar sites. They usually come in slightly different levels of resistance. But if you don't have one to hand, it's not a big deal. You can even use a lime or a lemon, or maybe your dog's ball, or anything you like. So that's the first thing that I always teach on here, to keep this, what we're always looking for in the left hand, this lovely kind of a C shape, and just get a feel for what it feels like to have this elasticity in between. So you see, I'm not applying much in terms of force here. You know, I'm not trying to flatten the ball. I'm just feeling, what does it feel like to have this slightly bouncy feeling under our fingertips. So that's one thing that I really recommend doing, because it just helps you from the start get that feeling. There's no clumping going on, because we only want a very, very, very light sort of bounce. Yeah, so that's the first thing. Now we're going to try the same on the cello. First of all, without utilizing the bow whatsoever, we're just going to put all 4 fingers down on whichever string you like. I will always recommend one of the middle 2, because it usually gives you slightly better arm position, and you just feel the same. And when you do that, after you've done the ball, you will actually realize that it takes almost nothing. It takes no effort whatsoever to get that string down. It certainly does not need any sort of clamping. Yeah, you just feel. And in fact, to get a nice vibrant ringing sound, most of the time you don't even need to get the string down 100%. Usually sort of 85% is enough. Yeah, so that's the first thing, just practicing a little bit of this pumping here. Just a little bit of that up and down, very, very, very lightly. And while you're doing that, you can already feel that actually all you need to do to get the string down is not use your fingers whatsoever. You just release the weight of your arm down a little bit. And one thing that helps, if you think of actually your shoulder blade being really heavy, the shoulder blade pulling down to the floor, and hey presto, here is your string down. See, so that's all you need to do. So we start, again, as I always show the left hand setup, start with a wide open arm. You fold in half, make sure you're not twisting the body, so you don't want to be ripping like that, and you certainly don't want to be approaching like that. Hand is completely open, and the hand, I don't even want you to think of individual fingers, I want you to think of it as a paw. So I often talk about the panda paw, this big sort of just whack. Yeah, so in half, and now there you go, just completely relax, and always make sure when you set up your hand, you do it with all 4 fingers down. Really anchor it on the 4th finger, so you can feel there's no pressure needed. You just release your shoulder blade downwards, arm downwards, and there you are. Now, the concept that we're really trying to find is that the whole time we have got a heavy arm, but actually a very, very, very light hand. So that the muscles in the back of our hand, in the fingers. There's no strain in them whatsoever. Now you're going to ask me, okay, but what happens when I'm using different fingers? So that brings me to the concept of using the sort of rotational capacity of the arm in order to achieve balance on whichever finger we are on, because there is no such thing as sort of one fixed arm shape for all 4 fingers. How could there be? Because the fingers are all different lengths. So we need, it's a very subtle shift, it's nothing extreme, but we just need to help with our arm to support whichever finger we are on. So as usual, I'm going to recommend we start with our 4th finger, like so. See, everything is down, and you can already now see there's no strain in any of the fingers here. Just releasing my arm. There's no muscle strain anywhere in either hand, so you can hear the sound rings immediately. Now, what I often see, especially on the 4th finger, is that the 4th finger is almost fully extended. It's like a rod, and you're just pushing, and everyone kind of saying, oh, my 4th finger is too weak. Now, I'm not going to bore you with going back over my own 4th finger. You all know by now there isn't very much of it. So for me, I think the way I really got over that I will never have a big, huge, strong 4th finger, is that I just ignore that it's even a finger. What do I do instead? I simply load. I imagine I'm just playing with my arm, and that is the bit, the 4th fingertip is where it happens to rest on. So the whole arm here goes forward towards the blade of the hand. So you see, I'm not leaning onto the 1st finger and trying to make to somehow catch that 4th finger note. It's never going to happen. So instead, I'm completely forgetting about all the other fingers, all the other notes, and the whole weight of the arm now just rests on that fingertip. So now when I'm going down to the 3rd finger, you can see that already I'm slightly rolling back onto the 2nd finger. So now the arm is just fully balanced on the 2nd finger. You can see it looks very neutral now. And now the 1st finger. And for the 1st finger, you can see that now I'm rolling backwards, so the palm of my hand is becoming a little bit more visible. Yeah. So one more time, really rolling over forwards to the blade. I was just talking about this actually to one of my online students, and one sort of hack I came up with, that's actually when I'm looking at my watch to learn to do the forearm rotation. So on the lower end, on the 1st finger, I can see the dial here. I'm looking right at it. As I'm going to the 4th finger, I can no longer see it, as you can see. So now watch is facing forwards, go onto the blade. And as you're going to the lower fingers, everything rolls inwards. So there you go. One way of actually getting the hang of this rotation quite well is an exercise. If you go into 3rd position and you find on the D3 the notes G and A, so both of them have got harmonics underneath. And obviously, because with a harmonic you can only have 1 finger down at a time, so you try that. You go from the G harmonic and now flip forwards onto A. next you try stopping one of them, so try stopping the G. And there you actually realize that you don't need very much pressure at all to get that G down. Just tiny bit of arm sinking, and there you are. Switch it around. You see arm flicks forwards. So that's a good exercise, and then you can try it with both stopped. So what you can also see here is that I am only ever really engaged on the finger of the note that I'm playing at that very moment. That the other big misconception is that everyone is trying, especially at the beginning, to keep every finger exactly in its station so that it's exactly above the right note in order not to play out of tune. That is not going to make you play any more in tune. Playing in tune is something that's controlled by your ear, not by fixing your fingers in a certain position at all. So instead, what I'm doing is that really anything which I am not using has to be fully released. And that is something that is so important if you ever, not just for your sound, but if you ever want to learn to achieve speed as well, you will never get this kind of fast movement that you need if there is tension held anywhere. So instead, really just learn to balance on whichever finger you are on, and the other ones are just dead. Yeah, in order to that's your natural position of the hand. That is not. So in order to spread the fingers like that, we need to, engage muscles, tendons, everything. Tendons are rubber bands. They want to spring back immediately. So that's something you want to practice. So I'm on my first finger, go on to the second. First finger is already, you see, the moment I'm firmly down on the second, the first finger just relaxes. Third. See, these already, they're still sort of hovering above, they're still touching the string, but they're there, but they're not involved. And as you can see now, when I'm doing that, my hand vibrates really, really, really easily as well, which of course, if you're playing constantly with a clamp, you will never ever achieve a nice relaxed vibrato. So yeah, I've got a nice heavy arm balanced on whichever finger I need, but there's no pressure. The hand feels super light. So yeah, you can see the cello resonates, the cello rings, because I'm not choking it off. So those are some ideas for you to try out in your own practice. And of course, as always, if you have got any questions about this, any comments, please stick them below. And I always love to hear from you, as you know. So happy practicing.